Good evening, one and all. Good evening, one and all. We welcome you all to the International Webinar Series on Holistic Health, Well-being and Sustainable Development 2026, commemorating Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, nation celebrating 78 years of independence and United Nations Sustainable Development Goals 2015 to 2030 and Viksit Bharat at 2047. As part of awareness and campaigns in collaboration with Sri Holistic Health Foundation India and Sri Research Institute Center for Arts, Sciences and Wellbeing. Before we start our sessions, let's take the blessings of Almighty.
कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः
With the blessings of Almighty, we shall continue with today's commemorations and celebrations. Today is commemorated as International Day of Education. The power of youth in co-creating education is the theme for 2026. Youth make up more than half of the global population and are a powerful engine for innovation, social change, and sustainable development. Yet, many still face persistent barriers that hold them back from shaping the future they want. From poverty and inequality to limited access to quality education and decent work. Because their lives and opportunities are directly shaped by education, young people must be active partners in reimagining how learning works. As technology continues to transform the world, involving youth in co creating modern, relevant, and inclusive education, systems is essential to ensure teaching and learning truly meet their aspirations. Learn how you can join the International Day of Education 2026. So good schools need good school leaders. Leadership is essential for quality education, seen as the second most important factor influencing learning outcomes. Effective leadership occurs at various levels, including within schools and in government. The latest edition of the examinees, the Global Education Monitoring Report, requirements for good educational leadership, highlighting how they differ across countries and change over time. It explores the visions during the leadership practices that lead to improved education outcomes and the impact of external, social, cultural, and government factors on effective leadership. Education is a human right, a public good, and a public responsibility. The United Nations General Assembly proclaimed 24th January as International Day of Education in celebration of the role of education for peace and development. The right to education is enshrined in Article 26 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. The declaration calls for free and compulsory elementary education. The Convention on the Rights of the Child, adopted in 1989, goes further to stipulate that countries shall make higher education accessible to all. When it adopted the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development in September 2015, the international community recognized that education is essential for the success of all of its goals. So, Sustainable Development Goal 4, in particular, aims to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong opportunities for all by 2030. So, education offers children a ladder out of poverty and a path to promising future. But about 244 million children and adolescents around the world are out of school. 617 million children and adolescents cannot read and do basic maths. Less than 40% of girls in sub Saharan Africa complete lower secondary school, and some 4 million children and youth refugees are out of school. Their right to education is being violated and is unacceptable. So, without inclusive and equitable quality education and lifelong opportunities for all, countries will not succeed in achieving gender equality and breaking the cycle of poverty that is leaving millions of children, youth, and adults behind. UNESCO welcomes 72 new cities from 46 countries to the global network of learning cities, recognizing their outstanding commitment to making the right of education across all ages a reality for all at the local level. Four initiatives from Belgium, Brazil, Egypt, and the United Kingdom received the UNESCO King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa Prize for the use of information and communication technologies in education, supported by the Kingdom of Bahrain. On 3rd December 2018, the United Nations General Assembly adopted with consensus a resolution proclaiming 24th January as International Day of Education in celebration on the role of education for peace and development. The adoption of the resolution 73 by 25, International Day of Education, co-authored by Nigeria and 58 other member states, demonstrated the unwavering political will to support transformative actions for inclusive, equitable, and quality education for all. By doing so, the international community reiterated that education plays a key role in building sustainable and resilient societies and contributes to the achievement of all other sustainable development goals. With a view to enhance international cooperation in supporting the efforts towards the realization of Sustainable Development Goal 4, the resolution called on all stakeholders, including member states, organizations of the UN system, and civil society, non governmental organizations, academic institutions, the private sector, individuals, and other relevant stakeholders to observe the International Day of Education. UNESCO, as a specialized United Nations agency for education, facilitates the annual observance of the day in close collaboration with main education actors. Today is also commemorated as International Mobile Phone Recycling Day on January 25th every year since 2017. Initially, International World Mobile Phone Day was celebrated on January 26th in both the years 2015 and 2016, before the date changed. The reason behind this is because the observance was part of larger international campaign called The Forest is Calling, a call to action attempting to raise awareness about the far-reaching effects of recycling mobile devices on the ape population in the Eastern Democratic Republic of the Congo, in short known as ENDC. The Jane Goodley Institute, in short known as JGI, launched this program in 2015 and has sparked a global movement in which individuals commit to either keeping the phones longer or discarding them ethically and properly. In 2015, the first official International Mobile Phone Recycling Day was held. The Jane Goodall Institute established the day to raise awareness about the negative impacts of smartphone consumerism on the primate wildlife population in the Eastern Democratic Republic of the Congo and other developing countries. Dr. Jane Goodall, a primatologist, began her groundbreaking research on Tanzania's wild chimps in 1960. Her work extended nearly 60 years and is one of the world's longest running wildlife study programs. Not only that, but her studies help to define how communities, how conservation can and should include both the environment and the influence on local communities. As a result, the JGA was established in 1977 to carry on the work of Dr. Goodall, particularly in the areas of primate conservation and species protection. So, where do mobile phones and other technological devices come into all of this? On June 3rd, 2014, Time magazine published an article titled There May Be Conflict Minerals in Your Smartphone. This highlighted how major technology companies receive crucial metals for their products from mines in the DRC and other Central African countries. Some of the money is used to fund the region's ongoing violent conflicts, which have resulted in large casualties, increasing criminality, and environmental degradation. The Dodd-Frank Wall Street Reform and Consumer Protection Act was signed into law in 2010, requiring firms to declare the amounts of conflict minerals used in their technology-based products. As a result, there is now more of an obligation for digital firms to purchase their raw materials ethically. So it's worth taking a look back at the evolution of cell phone to understand how this incredible piece of technology has evolved to the point where it's practically an extension of the cell. The honor of inventing the first portable cell phone, which was released in 1973, goes to the Motorola. Martin Cooper, a Motorola engineer, designed it and it costed around $10,000. Following this, numerous prototypes appeared, particularly during 1990s cellular revolution. The unveiling of Apple's first ever iPhone in 2007 marked the next watershed point in the smartphone history. With almost half of the world population now owning a cell phone, the world has been irrevocably changed by its debate. Recycling is one of the most effective ways to contribute to environmental protection. E-waste contains harmful components that can pollute the environment and water resources. A typical cell phone has 0.034 grams of gold in it, The US Geological Survey did the study that led to this static. There are around 72 pounds of gold in every million phones discarded. Only roughly 15% of cell phones in the United States, which is the world's biggest producer of e-waste, are recycled. Annually, about 150 million phones are discarded. So the number of phones recycled is pitiful. So several JGI locations in the United States collaborate with recycling organizations to make recycling more accessible, a comparable facility, and understand how they dispose or recycle your electronic debris. JGI makes this quite simple in the United States. Simply gather all of your waste, e-waste, and ship it for free to a collecting partner. If the reasons indicated earlier in the article aren't convincing you of the need of recycling your e-waste in this session, we have a few more to offer. Recycling will not only help to prevent environmental damage, but will also assist you to break the viscous demand supply cycle of which we all are part. As a result, people in affected areas will have a better chance of finding work, and a major portion of the funding that goes to armed warfare and other social problems in developing countries, such as DCR, will be cut off. Ironically or not, technology is also a gift in the way we can now so easily get the word out. So use the social media to spread the message about the importance of recycling your old phones and other tech devices. By participating in JGA's call to action movement, people can either pledge to keep their mobile phones for longer than 2 years now, or they can choose to recycle. Our phones have roughly 18 more hazardous germ types than the average toilet handle because of the fact that we carry them with us everywhere. Your toilet handle cleaner than your phone. So always try to sanitize your phones, and we check our phones at least 10 times a day on average, especially between 5 to 8 p.m. apparently by a study conducted. There is such a thing as fear of being without your phone or network, and it's called nomophobia. FOMO is a real thing now. There are over 7.2 billion phones, mobile phones in this world, and more than average global population. Recycling e-waste can be lucrative. Gold, silver, and other precious metals worth roughly $60 million are contained in mobile phones being discarded. Every day, an estimated 350,000 cell phones are discarded around the world. This adds the annual production of 50 million tons of e-waste. Recycling can not only help reduce the number and the health consequences it has on all species on this planet, but also can help offset market demand. As a result, countries like DCR would suffer from corruption and unending wars as a result of profit motives may see more favorable consequences. E-waste adds to the release of hazardous compounds in the environment, affecting the health of all living creatures, including humans. More than 200 million individuals are in danger because of the health problems that e-waste can create. The majority of this e-waste is dumped in poor countries, endangering the people who live there. There is no justice in this, hence, a communal movement is required to help mitigate the damage. So, recycling of any form is always a good idea because it encourages a more sustainable and environmentally conscious lifestyle. Being environmentally conscious, it's not enough. We must demonstrate our commitment to halting the flood of destruction that follows our consumption by our actions. The need for phones is lowered by recycling them, and the waste may be safely disposed of. Today is also commemorated as Data Privacy Week from January 24th, 2026. Data Privacy Week from 24th January to 28th January is an international effort to create awareness about digital data privacy and how it is being used and sometimes exploited by businesses. The cause advocates respecting the privacy of individuals and for business to be more transparent and how they handle user data. Millions of people are unaware of how their digital activity and personal data are being collected and shared with large corporations. Data Privacy Week gives you the power to control privacy back to the users. Today is also commemorated as National Cowboy Poetry Gathering Week from January 24 to 29, 2026, which takes place. The tradition started in 1985 in Reno, Nevada, as the Cowboy Poetry Gathering. It's an event in which different members of various ranch families come together and enjoy some poetry, listen to stories, and enjoy live country music. Senate communities on energy and natural resources passed a resolution in 2000 that renamed the gathering National Cowboy Poetry Gathering Week, thereby recognizing the 1985 inaugural event. Today is also commemorated as Just Do It Day on January 24th in US, as we are here to help you especially celebrate the day. National Just Do It Day was first celebrated in 2015. It is a day that inspires us to do new things or to finally just do one thing that we have been procrastinating for a while. It inspires us to start changing things in life by doing the one tiny thing we keep living under. Calling your grand, cleaning the garage, or writing that mail. One step can make a big change. Today is also commemorated as Belly Love Day on January 24th. In a way, to celebrate that will probably give you stomach cramps. It has been more than 15 years since this day was first celebrated. Belly Love Day is a day to chuckle, laugh, and celebrate the good things in life. Just imagine if we laugh more frequently, if we had the unmitigated courage to touch each other, it would be just the beginning of the paradise now. Laughter has been a topic of interest for most philosophers and thinkers throughout the history. According to the ancient Greek writer Herodotus, laughter was mainly classified into three types: those who are innocent of wrongdoing but ignorant of their vulnerability, those who are mad, and those who are overconfident. In the 20th century, Henry Louis Bergson, a French philosopher, published his work Laughter, an essay on the meaning of the comic. Ramon Mora Ripoli, in his study which was named The Therapeutic Value of Laughter in Medicine, believed that laughter had therapeutic and healing properties and that could be used to treat certain ailments in patients. He believed that it was a tool to be shared and also realized the importance of letting more people to know about the benefits of laughter on the human body. In 2005, Elaine Helly, a professional yoga teacher, came up with the idea of Belly Laugh Day to celebrate laughter. Elaine believed that we celebrated many things in life, such as love and gratitude, but we often neglect the importance of laughter, and thus Belly Laugh Day was born on January 24th. Today is also commemorated as Change a Pet's Life Day on January 24th. The day isn't only life changing for our pets, it changes our lives for a better too. Everyone can agree that having a pet brings limitless amount of happiness and solace since they give us their eternal love, devotion, and support. This day enables us to provide a new home for one or more millions of animals in shelters. If you aren't ready to get a new pet, just we'll go through different ways where you can improve the lives of animals below. At first glance, altering anyone's life may seem impossible, but doing it for a pet is a whole other ballgame. Today, any one of us may contribute to history by giving a pet a fresh start or a better future. By now, you might be wondering how this can be achieved and where you can start. Well, Change a Pet Lives Day was created primarily to encourage pet adoption all over the world, which is the number one way to change a pet's life forever. There are millions of stray and abandoned pets left in the shelters all through America and across the world. These pets are left lonely in cold shelters for most and sometimes all of their lives, or even euthanized at some point of to create a room for more. So the first of these shelters debuted in Pennsylvania in 1896 when the Women's Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals joined forces to create a facility for horses. Later, they expanded their services to include lost and abandoned dogs and allowed people to adopt such animals. Since that time, shelters have been established all over the world to care for various animals, and several rules and regulations have been put in place to stop animal abuse. So, one such initiative is Change a Pet's Life Day. Although the history of this day cannot yet be traced, its objective remains clear to support and encourage pet adoption. However, individuals that are not quite ready for the new family member are also encouraged to change the lives of one or more pets through other means like sponsorship and volunteer work. So today is also commemorated as Macintosh Computer Day on January 24th. Celebrates the same day in 1984 when the very first Macintosh computer, the predecessor of today's Apple computers, were introduced to the public. Macintosh broke into the consumer market as an alternative option to other computers, ushering a new age of freedom and creativity, and continues to be preferred system for creatives and techies across the globe. So the Macintosh project began in 1979 with Jeff Raskin, an Apple employee, proposed a user-friendly, cost-effective computer for the average consumer. He wanted to name the computer the Macintosh after his favorite type of apple, but the spelling was changed to Macintosh for legal reasons. In September 1979, the Raskin was permitted to start hiring for the project, and he onboarded his longtime colleagues, Brian Howard. Later on, he would hire Steve Jobs as project lead, sealing the future of Apple computers in technological history. However, in a 2013 interview, Steve Wozniak implied that he had led the initial design and development phase of the Macintosh project. He temporarily left the company after experiencing a traumatic airplane crash in 1981, at which point Jobs took over. And in the same interview, Wozniak stated that the original Macintosh failed under Jobs and that it was not until Jobs left that it became a success. So he credited the Macintosh ultimate success to the people like John Scully, who worked to build a Macintosh market when Apple II went away, reaching a 300 million valuation almost overnight. Apple became the fastest growing company in the US history, with over 50 companies salivating for a bite of the apple. One company stood out above the rest, IBM, and so began one of the most ruthless rivalries in corporate history, as many promising competitors drastically fell by the wayside. Macintosh continued in a formidable battle against IBM, but decades later, Apple would take over the industry with the introduction of iPhones and iMacs in one of the biggest and longest emerging comebacks in the history of any industry. There is also commemorated as National Compliment Day. on January 24th by going out all without praise. The power of a compliment is pretty remarkable. Either giving or receiving, one can boost your happiness and confidence, making the act a win-win. And you never know when someone could use some vibes to spread positivity by giving someone a reason to smile. There is also commemorated as National Peanut Butter Day on January 24, when Marcus Glimoritz had first patented peanut butter in 1884. He probably didn't realize it would become a taste sensation that would sweep the nation. So whether you go crunchy or smooth on January 24th, we put down our cell phones and pick up our spreading knives to celebrate the National Peanut Butter Day. Today is also commemorated as Talk Like a Grizzle Prospector Day in US on January 24th, every year as a fun event to commemorate the unique speaking styles of good gold prospectors. Some people confuse it with the cowboy style of speech used in the West or language used by sea pirates. This talking style was reserved to the grizzled prospectors of the California gold rush. For a normal person who is unaware of what the style feels like, well, cousin, our dear varmint, all you have to do is talk this seemingly gibberish. Get your point across uniquely, which reminds us of the golden days of the youth. Inspired by the Talk Like a Pirate Day, the day is celebrated as a fun day to talk the way the miners used to talk while mining for a gold. The miners have thick beards and talked in a way that was only understandable by their local mining friends. This day comes in as a fun remembrance of these miners who worked tirelessly under the exhausting conditions that made a select few statesmen super rich. So in 2008, Chris Jepson from Orange Country and his fellow anonymous historian created this event, and since then, it has spread across the US. Today is also commemorated as Unification Day on January 24th, the most important part of Romania's history. Unification Day is celebrated on January 24th. This day marks the important first step to creating the nation of Romania as we know it today. On this day in 1859, two Romanian principalities, Moldavia and Wallachia, came together to form the Union of the Romanian Principalities, or Little Union. This eventually led up to the Great Union, which formed the rich nation of Romania. So with this, we shall end today's commemorations. Thank you everyone for joining us in today's commemorations and celebrations. See you all tomorrow at the same time with the same joining link with different commemorations and celebrations. So we request everyone to quickly fill up the feedback form before leaving the platform. See you all tomorrow. Take care. Good night.